After going through this video, you will be able to explain the importance of PHP in web development, install PHP in Linux OS. Hey, so we are already halfway through our training. I hope and believe you are having fun with a lot of exciting things to learn and practice. So, buckle up because this ride is going to get more exciting and adventurous. PHP is a general purpose scripting language, especially suited for web development. Now, let's understand why PHP language is used in web development. We already know the communication channel between a browser and a web server. The browser feels the need of a service and tries to fetch a relevant web page when we type a URL in its address bar. The browser then makes a DNS lookup to find the host computer corresponding to the URL that contains the desired web page. Once the browser finds the host computer, it connects to the web server running on it so that they can communicate with each other. The browser then sends an HTTP request to the web server mentioning which web page it wants. The web server then acts on the request and finds the web page on its computer. Once the web server finds the web page, it sends it to the browser as an HTTP response. Till now, we have dealt with web pages that only contain the HTML and CSS code. But now, we will see web pages that contain PHP code that are also called PHP files. In case of PHP files, there is just one difference. When the web server receives a request for a web page, that's a PHP file. It does one thing extra. It executes the PHP code in the file and sends the output of it to the browser as a response. Unlike in case of HTML files where it doesn't even care what the file contains and sends the content of the file as it is to the browser. Also, PHP is a server-side scripting or a backend language as it gets executed on the server side. And the most important is, it helps to connect to the DBMS to store and fetch information. To understand this, let us revisit the cab service example from the previous module. Here, we have three tables. A customer table that stores the records of each customer who uses the cab rental service. A drivers table that stores the records of each driver who is registered with the cab rental company. And the rides table that stores details of each ride. But the important question here is, where does this data come from? So, every customer and driver who wants to use the services of this cab rental company has to first register themselves by filling up a form. Now, once the driver and customers submit the form, there must be a person somewhere who will manually execute SQL queries in order to insert the submitted data in a table. So here comes PHP into the picture. Whenever a new customer or a driver fills up and submits a form, a new HTTP request gets initiated, and this time for a PHP file. Also, all the data that a user enters in the form comes along with this HTTP request and is accessible in the PHP file. Now, the web server will find and execute the SQL queries in the PHP file on the appropriate database. We will learn about these in detail in later topics, but first, let us see how we can install PHP in Windows and Linux OS. For Windows OS, we don't need to install PHP as it is integrated to the XAMPP which we have already installed. For Linux, to install PHP, we first need to open the terminal. Then, we will enter this command. The PHP CLI is a simple PHP command line interface that executes standalone PHP files through the terminal. Whereas libapache2-mod.php is a PHP module for Apache that tells Apache to execute the PHP file before sending the response. This is very important as if we don't install this module, Apache would treat PHP files like any other file and will send the response to the browser as it is. Now, if prompted, we will enter our login password. Next, press Y to confirm. It might take some time to complete the installation. So here we go. The PHP installation is complete in Linux OS. In the next video, we will see the basic syntax of PHP and understand a few PHP tags.